Isaiah 62. And the Gentiles shall see thy righteousness, and all kings thy glory, and thou shalt be called by a new name, which the mouth of the Lord shall name. Thou shalt also be a crown of glory in the hand of the Lord, and a royal diadem in the hand of thy God. Thou shalt no more be termed forsaken, neither shall thy land any more be termed desolate, but thou shalt be called Hephzibah, and thy land Beulah, for the Lord delighteth in thee.
Hello guys, and welcome to this channel, Beautiful Ashes, a channel where we want to bring hope to the community. We want to tell people with our stories that you can actually do it. This is a story where we speak about stories, our pain, our grief, our past pains that we've actually made victory of. And today we thank God, and looking back, we can only see the hand of God in it. And today on our show, we have a very special person who speaks about something that is very, very close to my heart. Mr. Mbau. Welcome to the show, Mr. Mbau.
Thank you very much.
So maybe a brief introduction. Who is Mr. Mbau? What do you do? What your passions, and just anything about a brief introduction of who Mr. Mbau is.
Thank you again for having me on here. So my name is David Mbau. First off, I say I'm a husband, then I'm a father to two girls. 15 and 8. Then secondly, I stand up. This is the first thing that makes me up. So I'm a voice, and I like standing up for the marginalized and anyone who's downtrodden. So that's like the calling I feel like is upon me. So that's what I do. And how I do it is by voicing and being an advocate to the most vulnerable group in society. This is persons with disabilities. So I'm an advocate for persons with disabilities together with their families. And I love doing this because then no one should actually live through this life fighting it out for equality. You know, we should all enjoy equal rights. Yeah. And enjoy equity when it comes to resources, then to be able to meet those things that we are chasing after in our lives. So every person needs just to live a life where they can fully just realize their potential, and that's what life is about for me, and I feel that's what my life now has become. Thank you.
So maybe to your case, every time a parent is expecting, be it the wife, be it the husband, they have dreams for the child who's to come.
Yeah. You
have even courses picked up in your mind. And then when the child comes, we're expecting that their milestones will be in time. No one really thinks that their child will come being different. So what was it like for you? What is your experience? Was there a contrast, or what happened to your expectations?
Okay, so my journey began like most of us does, like most of the parents with children with special needs. If I recall back, I started off, I am married. We had been married for like 3 years. So we all have plans. So I had plans for my life, you know. Yeah. So you say you want to get married, then you want to go on a honeymoon for 2 or 3 years, then you want to start getting babies, you know, that math that we do behind our heads. Then you start looking, when will the child be in high school? So then you work out your math. Yeah. So we had said we're going to take like 3 years to be on honeymoon, and then we start getting our first child, and then 2 years after that we get our second one, you know. Yeah. So 3 years came past, tried getting our first child. That was my first surprise, you know. That's where now the plans just started going south. Yeah. First 6 months we couldn't get a child. First year nothing came through. So the doctors, everything was perfect. There was nothing wrong. Second year, got a few miscarriages, a few blighted ovums. Ovums, yes, that's what it's called, right? So the journey was already rough even before we got any child. So 2 years down the line, eventually we got a child. We got pregnant, so we're expecting, trying just to go through not every detail. So we got the child. So the day we were to get the child, so we did the full clinic thing, happy to be preparing for the child, you know, preparing everything. So we go the day for delivery. I'm there with my wife. So she delivers. Apparently, it was like a week before, I think, because we're just gone for clinic. And then the doctor then told us, hey, it looks like you guys need to go in because this is not anything out of the norm. The umbilical cord kind of looked like it wants to wrap itself around the neck. So she said, just to avoid that, let's do it now. So we got a CS done. We got the child. I was there. The child was taken to the nursery. I followed the child into the nursery because now mommy was recovering. So I went in there. Child is just looking. I mean, it's the angel we've been waiting for, just the child we want. A nurse comes in, just checking the other children, and just like by the way, just mentions a word that I had for the very first time, and this is Down syndrome. So she just passed by, just said, you know what, I think this child has Down syndrome. Okay, it didn't sound like a good word, even if I didn't know it, And I was shocked, I was taken aback. So I didn't know what to make out of it. So after just consulting with the doctors, then I found out, I didn't really find out what Down syndrome was. I just found out it was not a good thing. Because then the information that was broken to me then, which now in hindsight, I have to say, that's one of the places that I think needs a lot of change, because then the way it was broken was very bad.
That's true.
Like just breaking that news, that's just the first place that you just start to accept, and it matters a lot. So I was given half-baked news, so the bigger chunk was that this is not a good thing. So from there, I didn't understand what that was. So it was very confusing. So immediately I booked in to see the pediatrician. I saw him, I saw her. So when I saw her, oh my God, now I saw her with my wife, because I didn't even want to break it to my wife, because I don't understand this thing. She's recovering. I don't want to throw anything I don't understand. So when we eventually went in like a week after to see the pediatrician, so they broke it down. But again, even the doctor herself only looked like she was just ready to dish out the negative aspects of the whole thing, So we came out of there with a long list of things the baby will never amount to. Just in short, like just the hole you guys are into, just describing that hole and what you guys are into. So it was very heartbreaking for me. Shocking. I must say even angry at God, because now, and very confused because it's a monster I don't understand. So it was very traumatizing, I must say. So it hit home when we got home. It was heartbreaking. It was really hard for me. So just to rope in my wife, so my wife also just went down her own rabbit hole, and for her, I think it was times 20 to what I was feeling, because
can imagine
now,
a mother's pain.
now I understand that we both just take our own paths, in acceptance and in receiving those news, something I had no clue about. So it really went as far as even getting to clinically depression, being depressed clinically, and it was really bad. She couldn't even function. Now even with all that playing out, she couldn't even breastfeed because of the anxiety and the depression. She couldn't just run life. So she was just bedridden because it was just too much for her. So that was my journey, starting off and feeling all alone, all confused, heartbroken, angry. I don't know if you've heard about, there's this thing in these circles, that there's a story that goes around about the journey to Holland, that usually just breaks this journey down, because it really fits every single detail of my journey the way it started. Because here you are taking a holiday trip to Italy, and you book everything in advance, like 6 months before. You're making payments, you're getting ready. You're buying all the safari books for that place that need to be bought. You're learning the language just to say hello. You're checking out the wardrobe and what season is it going to be on that side. And you're all set to go, and the day comes and you take a flight to go to Italy. And you can't wait to get to Italy, Me there, something happens, the plane can't land in Italy. It ends up in Holland. And you've already taken out your you end up in Holland, but you end up in Holland having prepared for Italy, so you end up there, language totally different, weather totally different, right?
Yeah.
Culture totally different to what you're planning for.
Yeah.
So this is exactly how I felt. 9 months preparing for this child, and then finding myself in a
In
very
Holland.
different
Yeah,
destination
sure.
in Holland.
Yeah.
And I don't know even what to appreciate on that side. And unfortunately, the people who are supposed to welcome me in Holland, the doctor
Yeah.
and the
Yeah. True.
nurse, they don't even get to start saying by like Hakuna Matata, land of sunshine.
Yeah.
They're just like, hey, Holland, hey, it's freezing. Just the negatives,
Yeah.
you need to look out maybe for pickpockets. That's how it felt for me.
Yeah.
So I found myself in that new place. It was very hard. So my first year, I really struggled through it because being the typical African man,
Yeah.
I'm also trying to just keep it together, and
Yeah.
also not sharing it out, and just dying inside, slowly.
Yeah, true.
So shortly, I was just leading my family while bleeding,
Yeah.
and really bleeding. And I had no clue what it was about. I'm not opening any doors to understand anything.
Yeah.
So fortunately, the church we attend, the wife to the pastor was actually doing, I think she was doing a PhD or something. And I think she was doing a paper on special needs. And it just so happened at that very time she was doing the paper on Down syndrome.
Oh wow.
And so she had all this information, and she was so empowered on that side. So she'd already seen our child. So the girl is called Tumaini. So she had already seen Tumaini. And she had already known what it was about. But she knew that you do not just jump into that ship.
Yeah.
And, she knew how to approach.
Sure, yeah.
So she had given me time, warmed up, and then she went through, because she had seen I don't even want to open up, or I was just in my own cocoon.
Yeah.
So she approached my wife, and then eventually me, and then eventually we were able to get material and information. And she sat us down, and she started telling me about what the journey is going to be about. And that's the point where now I opened up and I realized support groups are really, really important. So I got out of my cocoon, stepped out. My journey to acceptance began there. So that's like a year down, right? I must say that our journeys were very different. I started mine then. My wife didn't start then, so we don't start the same. Now I know.
Yeah.
Now I know. After not
Truthfully,
knowing
I
so
feel
much.
we
Yeah,
take
so
more
that's just the
time.
beginning of it.
I think I relate with your story because when my daughter was 4 months, she was not adding weight. Her weight was very everywhere. We would add a
Yeah.
gram, a what. And this one time we went to a doctor, just looked at the child and told me this child has Down syndrome. So don't use the chart for weights for typical children anymore. This is what you use. And I took the news because I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
So I go with this child, but me, I'm very fast on my phone. And I was looking, I'm like, no, what this guy is saying cannot be true. But because it was a professional, I kept clinging to the word. He said, in fact, the next time I went, I didn't take the normal clinic book. I took the Down syndrome book. And then when I think I came to Nairobi and met one of my aunties, and they said, no, this child had Down syndrome. This would be the symptom. This would be.
Yeah.
And now I'm feeling it is why it is becoming very hard for special children, parents to even accept the news, because I've heard so many stories of how the doctor just dished out the news.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
this is CP, this is autism, they don't explain, they just tell you this child will never be able to dress up. Actually, this is what the doctor told us. My
So
daughter
sad.
was 4 months.
Wow.
And the guy said, this child of yours will never be able to learn, never be able to dress up. They will
totally
just.
feel you.
So to me, I was taking home what seemed to me like no longer a child, and I'd look at
Exactly.
them and all the dreams that I had, only actually to learn later that my daughter did not even have.
Oh
what
my
this-
goodness.
So I feel I don't know what is to be done, and I'd like to get your view on. And I don't know whether it is lack of experience from the doctors, because really the way these news are relayed, and not just only for special needs cases, even people with terminal diseases,
Yes,
they are
yes, yes,
whatever's
yes.
will just be dumped on them.
Yes.
You have cancer stage 4, you have 3 months to live, go home and work your way out.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But I totally identify with what you're saying.
Yeah.
And you see, that was 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I must be fair and say that, it's 15 years after.
Yeah.
So some of those things have been addressed. Because if you walk into a hospital today for whatever illness, like you said,
Yeah.
nowadays they have then the department called counseling and I don't know, for counseling.
Yeah.
So the hospital actually employs counselors then to break news to you. So that was the gap that was missing. But not many hospitals still, but I can see now they get it. So I think the thing that needs to happen now is just to roll it out everywhere, because it's very traumatizing.
It
Yeah,
is.
very, very. So I must give it to them. But the doctors, I must say, if it were not for that office of counseling, guidance and counseling,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. They're professionals. They're very good at what they do, but again, they need to realize they are good at their profession. They're not good
Yeah.
at PR. They're not good
Sure.
at talking to human
Yeah,
beings.
breaking news
And
is-
who is a doctor to be told anything, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I'm not, but
Yeah.
I see that they get it now. So at least it's been addressed.
yeah.
So nowadays, even when you have, because I have parents who get children with special needs, and they come to me and they tell me about their story today, and then it's very different, because then they're sent to someone first to talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, at least something. Someone is doing something.
It is. You mentioned something that you were told it wasn't Down syndrome, so that was a wrong diagnosis.
It was so wrong.
Oh,
and I went back
God.
to the guy, and he didn't apologize. He said that was my
You see,
observation.
doctors.
I was actually very bitter. Why?
Oh,
Why
my.
did you? But it is. I'm just happy that something is getting done,
Yes.
so
yes,
that
we must.
parents need to be more at ease with whatever
Yes.
with Holland, because there are
Yeah.
good things in Holland as well.
Oh, yes.
And now going to the, I feel the society is also a big issue when it comes to addressing the marginalized, because so many times people will compare your child. They're like, now Tumaini is 15.
Yes.
This is what 15-year-olds are doing versus what your 15-year-old is doing. And for you, you have another child, a typical
Yes.
child.
Yes.
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 So how has it been adopting Tumaini to a society? Because I keep telling parents, you're not always going to be there. People
Very true. Very true.
just, things happen nowadays. Things are happening everywhere. So how do you prepare Anne-Marie for a society that, Tumaini, for a society that is not going to be so kind,
Wow.
for a
Wow.
society that is just looking at her as she can't do more than she can do?
Yes, yes. That opens up a very good discussion on stigma, and stigma is first off, it's two pronged, because first it's stigma to the child, and then we can never dissociate the parent from this story. Then also to the parent, and stigma has been the biggest impediment in just these children thriving, because then to thrive, then you have to be a part of community, and for you to enjoy and realize your dreams and potential, then you need to come out. You cannot be in a cocoon. And a part I didn't tell you is that some of the when I said that I advocate and I voice issues and I highlight matters to do with persons with disabilities, I mentioned that I also do it for parents, because I realize they are one unit. So when I go into the parents' part, I'm also running a program where we do a lot of parent support, which we call psychosocial support for parents, because clearly that journey of acceptance it's a
support,
journey.
yeah.
It's a journey, and I'm biased towards the fathers, not because then the mothers don't need it, but to just call it out as it is. The fathers are way lagging behind. Okay, there's a lot of empowerment that has already gone on for the mothers, and this is because during clinic, it's the mothers usually go. So, and during clinic, so they already have a system. So even after the child comes, there's also postnatal care. So during postnatal, then they also get empowered, because once they catch on it's a child with special needs, then the mother already starts getting empowered. And at that point, most of the clinics and most of the NGOs have programs where they're really empowering mothers through the health institutions. So they get a lot of psychosocial support, but the fathers are really lagging behind. And this is one, just because of the culture, one, which holds us back. This African man, so we're not used to talking, and being where we are. It's 2025, but you'll be shocked that there are very few people, even both men and women, who have warmed up even to therapy, to counseling, to just very very.
True,
So you can imagine how much more for the man.
yeah.
So coming back to that point, so the stigma. So again, I was coming back to stigma. So stigma, you want to come out with your child, And just bring it home and be practical, my journey has been that even with Tumaini, when I was starting off the journey, it was very hard to even go out with her. You know, I walk into a mall with her, everyone freezes, and everyone's turning their heads around. You know, I walk into a restaurant, all the all the forks just stop and the spoons, and everyone is staring, and you just feel eyes on you. You know, and no one is coming, no one is reaching out like in a friendly, warm manner. You know, so you really feel like pushed to the corner, and it just you just don't want to come out next time. You know. So parents prefer to just stay at home and keep to themselves and not go out. But you see, the community cannot also be removed from this equation, because then to thrive, we are all part of a community. You know, and the truth of the matter is that there will never be any stigma if there was no community.
True.
Because then stigma comes from community. You know, because I mean, if they
Then
want
stay at home
we'll
and
just
it
be
will be
living
safe.
our lives, going to the malls, you know, doing our thing.
That's true.
Yeah, so it's been tough. So even that's, to me, you can imagine. So Tumaini is young. I'm sure she doesn't understand it. So I'm sure at that point it doesn't bother her. For her, it's not an issue, even if the eyes are on her, right? Because she doesn't really get it. But as she grows up, she starts to understand. She's 15 now. And now she totally gets it. And sometimes I'm heartbroken, because even where I live, and this is by choice, I've decided to live where I live deliberately. So I live in a community, so I live in an apartment block, because then there's community and there are people, and people have children.
Yes.
So I take advantage of that, because again, the social well-being then has to be, I wanted to interact with other children.
Yes.
So even there, it breaks my heart, because initially, even the children just used to just have her in her own corner and not play with her, and even some of them even giggle and even just tease her. This broke my heart so much. But again, what it does is that it makes me realize that as a parent, then I need to be an advocate. I need to step in. I cannot just be laid back. You know. So I had to step in. And I had to actually call because I mean, there are WhatsApp groups everywhere where there's a community of people living. So we had a meeting, we talked, and I talked to them about special needs. And guess what it did? It gave me another opportunity for awareness, you know? So I broke it down to everyone, told them to go break it down to their children. It's been a journey. It's hard, but I can say I've been in that same place for like 5 years now. I can say it's way better, you know? So it is an uphill task, but we have to step in. And you see why I cannot choose to stay back and not advocate and step in for her. That's just in community. So again, come to school, the same thing. Yeah, we want to do inclusion. We don't want the kids to be excluded and be in a special school, because there's never going to be a special world for them.
No, they won't.
So I tell parents, please, I know we want a special school because it feels safer, you know, she'll be taken care of. But guess what? So after school, what will happen? There's no special world for her. So she better just start getting to know how to live with
in the world
in the world as it is.
Yeah.
So again, even in school, that's what you want. In church, because this is community. Church again is the same thing. The stigma.
Church actually,
and it breaks my heart when I bring in church.
Funny, the church is the first judgment you ever get.
Yes.
The church is a place where we're supposed to come home and feel at home. But the church has been, I've talked to many people, and the church, when they went through divorce, the church pushed out. You have your special child, the child is noisy, you're disturbing the people as they pray. And it just breaks my heart to see people running away from church because church didn't come in when they needed church. I think the church now wants people with money and people with just happy people who will come, follow the rules and live. They do not want the person that's bringing the problem. And especially churches, I don't know what is to be done or how to address it.
Unfortunately, for most of these things, the parent, I say, if you look at that equation very soberly, the parent is a gatekeeper to this child.
True.
Whatever resources the government has towards that child, whatever resources and support that NGOs have, whatever schools have, whatever the medical team has, guess what? All that it's just dependent on one person if they're going to actually end up helping the child, and that's the gatekeeper, the parent.
Yeah.
You know, so the parent is always key in the well-being of the child. And that's why I say that an empowered child begins with an empowered parent.
That's true.
And we both agree. I mean, I hear you about your journey also about acceptance in the initial stages. But it is as much as we encourage it. I mean, because it is a journey. It is a grieving process. Because you actually were looking for Holland, and you got Italy.
Yeah.
You're looking for this
Italy,
child. Yeah, you didn't get the child that you're waiting for. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
Who expects they're going to get a child with special needs? Nobody does.
Yeah.
And hence nobody prepares you. Okay.
It's not a box
and
you tick.
so you never got what you wanted. So your dream has died.
Yes.
Let's just call it as it is.
Yeah.
And what you've been given is something totally different. So you have to get over your dream and then step up and get up with this other one. And that's just grieving.
That's true.
Yeah, that's just the meaning of grieving. So we grieve, but then we realize that we also need to not get stuck there.
Yeah.
Because again, if we get stuck there for too long, someone else is getting stuck.
Yeah.
Remember, we are the gatekeepers.
Yeah.
So the more you're stopping the child's progress and life and everything.
Yeah.
And I think you know, because I mean, you're with me in this same boat, you know there are many things that cannot be reversed. And you know there are very many critical things that needs to be done at the very foundational early years of the child.
Yeah.
And if you miss out on those things, occupational therapy, speech, countless medical issues, you know, if you do not do some of those things early enough, you will never catch on with them. And I'm sorry to say this, that some of them you can never catch on to them, and you'll end up making the situation worse.
Yeah.
So if parents realize this, then you will say, Sawa, I need to grieve and finish and accept, because I also need to come back. Someone else needs to get going. Yeah. And back to that conversation about church. Yeah. So what this does to parents, what it did to me, is, I mean, I'm not super parent, and there's this notion that goes out there about parents with special needs, that we are special parents, you know, that God chose us because we are super, like we are superhuman. You know, there's no superhuman. You are crushed. We are so crushed at the beginning of this thing, you will not believe it. You know, there's nothing special about it. It's just that now the experience that God has put you in then causes you then to bring certain and attributes, you know, patience, things you never had before, you know, unconditional love, you know, not gauging your child by what they can bring to the table, you know. So many things that come out of us, brought by these children, has nothing to do with special. And at this juncture, I'll just like to for those, I'm sure they'll be watching, this word special that is used in our space, because it's something we call inclusive language when it comes to special needs. And this is key, because then the language, what it does to our psyche is it informs our attitudes towards things in life. So if you go out and talk about special, and special, the way I see it, and I think this makes perfect sense, it's used as a euphemism, you know, and people at the beginning of it even get it wrong. You see, just to mention, I mean, it says a child with special needs. So what does a special describe? The child or the need?
Yeah.
It comes before the need. So it's descriptive of the need, not the child.
Yeah.
So even our children are not special.
That's true, yeah.
They're just normal like any other kids, you know? And this goes out both to the public, society, and also to us parents. Because when us parents, some of us have the notion that our children are more special than the other children. They're not more special.
Yeah.
In fact, it is just the need that is special, in the sense that the need is unique.
Yeah.
You know, it's not even that it's special like it's the number one need. It's just unique because you don't see it.
Yeah.
So even that language really helps to reduce the stigma. Because again, in public, then the attitudinal challenges that we get outside here, then also go with that language. I don't know if language has ever affected you. You know, like someone calling your child like Tumaini, instead of calling Tumaini with Down syndrome, then they say Down syndrome child or an autistic child. You see, like if you get a cold, like I have a cold, do you say call for me, that guy who has a cold.
No.
Whoever says
It's
that. But
always-
why do we always say that about special needs?
That's
Like you
true.
put the condition before the child. You know,
Yeah.
that hurts me, and that used to really break my heart.
Yeah.
You don't even get to bother if that child has a name.
Yeah.
So it's just an autistic child.
Yeah.
You know, a cerebral palsy person.
Yeah.
That lame man. You know, that blind man. So where is the person? The person disappears.
Yeah.
And you see how it changes the psyche of people? I don't know if language has ever rubbed you off the wrong
Oh,
way.
it has. It has. It has rubbed me off, and more so for me because in my native language,
Yeah.
there's no good name for a special child. So the name they would go for is
Oh my.
care. Care is foolish. It's what is
Oh
it?
man.
It's what they'd call
Really?
it. They don't care. It's I don't know
no.
what there's no special need in the native language. So they will always refer to this child as stupid. It's actually what it transitions to.
Wow.
And for me, because with time I have my child has birth asphyxia.
Yes.
They got hurt during birth, doctors' mistakes and
Yes.
and what have you, and they delayed my labor.
Mm-hmm.
So now my child her speech has been delayed, which she's making. It's actually the only difference that you can see.
Yes.
But for the
yes.
people who saw her before we took her to therapy and she couldn't walk, they've never removed the notion that that is still who she is.
Yes.
So even when I
yes.
tell them of my dreams of this child, they will look at me as if I'm also stupid.
Oh my goodness.
Because me, like you said, parents are the gatekeepers of their
Yeah,
children.
Yeah.
And what you know about Tumaini, nobody else knows. You're the one who lives with her,
Yeah.
and you're the one who knows her and knows her strengths. Because these children, I am coming to realize they have a lot of strength that actually we lack. And maybe sometimes I keep asking
Yes.
myself, who's the needy person between me and them? Because in the simple terms that they can't do normal things of removing clothes and putting them back. But it's like God has somehow amplified what is not so active in us. So when you thrive this child, when you work on them as a parent, you discover that they have very, like my child is very intuitive.
Yeah.
Very,
Yeah,
very,
yeah,
very.
yeah.
She will learn people from a distance. Her memory is of an elephant. You will ask her, where did you put the key last year? She will take you to it.
That's amazing.
So these things have made me realize that this is where my child is going. I keep telling people my child will be a doctor, and they look at me, they're like, oh, let's leave you alone because we think you're also stupid.
These are
but-
those special needs parents. Who,
Yes, they just dream, these
Yeah.
ones. But I feel every parent needs to know that you carry your child's dream.
Yeah. That's
And if you're
so
pushing it, if you're preparing your child to this world, it's ugly even for the typical children. The world is not good to anyone. Kids are
Very
killing
true.
themselves,
Very
doctors
true.
and everyone. Even the people we thought were champions in the society are still committing suicide because
Yeah.
the community has become very harsh. People do not have soft comments anymore. People will just come at you. They don't care what it's going to do to you. But now from this society, we see, for the mother, I keep saying the mother usually doesn't have so many options. Things could change. Now it could be the fathers, even the mothers are
Yes.
walking away. When it becomes too hard, and for sure it does become too hard,
Yeah,
it is a tough journey. So I'd really want you to maybe speak about, because I know you've met so many men, because there's a lot of divorces in homes where there are special children, and the fathers or the mothers just walked away because the child was too much, not because there was anything wrong with the relationship. And even to you personally, even in your passion now, because I have seen you and I know how you're very passionate about Tumaini and what you have for her. But were there times when you felt, this is too much? Do I get a break? Do I get sunshine? Because you see, for the typical children, you're like, next year she'll be working.
Yeah.
4 years she'll be in school. 5 years she's independent.
Very true.
But for these ones, you don't know when. It's a full-time, it's a whole life commitment. So that even when you're thinking about death, you're still thinking, who am I going to leave this child and who will love them?
Wow, that's a weighty, that's a weighty conversation. Just hearing you talk, I mean, it just takes me back into our journeys are almost, everyone's journey is almost similar, but not similar because we're just on different paths. And I have to say that Tumaini has just really changed me into a different. Let me just say that because there's no other better way to put it.
Yeah.
When I think about her and I think about the future, it breaks my heart that the bitter truth is that there's going to come a place where I'm going to leave this world before.
Yeah.
And getting systems going is to just cater for her being here without me is something most of us don't even want to think about, and we actually don't think about it.
Yeah.
And this is the one wrong thing we do.
Yeah.
We don't think about it. We just want to push it to the corner, and that's a hard conversation because we need to face it, and we need to realize that they will be here, and there will come a time that we won't be around. So we need to put systems in place. So coming back to the support, let me tell you. So for Tumaini, like I told you, what she has is Down syndrome. Down syndrome comes with a long list of comorbidities. These are co-occurring conditions that come with the it's a genetic condition. So it affects, so you can imagine, because when we say it's a genetic condition, first so that you understand, is that in the 21st pair of chromosomes, because we all have 23.
Yeah.
So in the 21st pair, instead of having 2, we have 3.
Yeah.
We have 3 chromosomes. So you can imagine, in that one cell, there are 3. So in every cell of your body, there are 3 of them, like everywhere, So how does that, so that just gets in the way of how everything develops, right?
Yeah.
So she has a whole battery, a whole list of things that are affected from heart conditions to intellectual disabilities, to thyroid issues, to reproductive issues, so many things. And when you look at a child like that, the support that you will need is a lot. And I classify support into 3 parts. Into the medical part, which that's to the medics.
Yeah.
Then we have the occupational therapy part, which I call the social part. And then we also have education. So it falls into 3 parts.
Yeah.
So when it comes to me just trying to get my own space and my own time, I realize that the social aspect of it is very crucial, very key. And for me to get any alone time, or just to remember that I also have myself to take care of, that can never happen if then there's no one else, if then I'm the only person who understands her, and I'm the only person who can be there with her. That will drain me, that will kill me. Let's just call it as it is. So for me, what helps a lot is that I'm lucky that I have a family that embraces her, and has come in to understand and to step in and to even get capacity to know what goes on. And I can easily just have a weekend away, And I'm sure this is not something many special needs parents can do.
That's
because
true.
I talk to them, and they don't even have that one sister or brother that they can trust this child with.
That's true.
And it is very key. It is very important because we need to take care of ourselves. So in terms of support and just getting my alone time, and when I'm feeling overwhelmed, that's what helps me. So you need to get people around you, community around you. You need to open up. You need to be. I know we say, me najua mtoto wangu like nobody else. Like how can I leave that child over? Even with my own mother.
Yes,
That's why I started. I used to say, you know what? And even nowadays, not just even with special needs children, all children.
Yeah.
I mean, society has really changed for the worse.
Yeah.
And I mean, children are getting abused left, right, and center.
True.
And not by strangers, by family
People they
members.
know. Yeah, that's true.
So how much more a child with disability who can't report or say anything? And I know these are the thoughts that go on in every parent with a special child. They're like, never. Even with my brother, I can't leave this one. I don't know when my brother will step out, then their neighbor comes in.
Yeah,
or I don't know my brother's friends who will come into that home.
That's true.
And we have all these things, but guess what? Imagine we can't live life like that. It's okay. I tell parents, it's fine. Just do your due diligence. If it is even your mother's house, where that child you feel is not safe, never leave that child there. Never. Even for cultural sake, you never bring never leave that child. But please don't let that then stop you to go to the next place, maybe to your friend's place, see if that's a safe spot, rope them in, build them capacity, let them know what the child, but we need that thing to do. I don't know if you have the same, because we all need space on our own, you know. So I don't know if you feel safe with you have somewhere you can leave your child also alone with, or you'd never do that.
Oh no, actually my child, we've had a plan for the longest time with my parents. They always take my child for holidays.
Oh, wonderful.
And
Nice.
it is a breath of fresh air, because even me, you can never pour from an empty cup.
That's
So
true.
really by the time she's back, I'm actually ready for the job. Because I've taken time. If it is going somewhere, we've gone. And actually when she goes, I think children also have a way of expressing themselves when they are away from us. Because every time she goes, she'll come back with new words, and kids at my mom's place are very friendly. So they'll pick her up in the morning, bring her up, and I thank God, because Anne Maria has really come a long way. Now she can do most things. She can actually tell you what has happened.
Wow.
So I am
That's
loving
nice.
but like you said, parents really need to do early interventions, because for us we started therapy at 3 months.
Yes.
And
Wow.
people couldn't understand.
Wow.
And we saw the neck was not, I thank God for my mother-in-law, because she picked me at the airport and she held the child and she said, this child, the head. And this was my first child. I had never been with a small child. You think you know children until you have yours. So me, I didn't know at what point kids really firm their necks. So that's when we started therapy. And I remember the doctor we met, he was so good. He said, this doesn't mean you will not get to Nairobi. If your journey is to Nairobi for every parent, it just means for you have a lot of detours.
Yeah. I like that. I like that analogy a lot.
I know. When he brought it, he just said, the other child went to Nairobi straight. For you passed by Voi, you bought pineapples, you passed by. And it warmed my heart. This is how my healing journey started, because this doctor was giving me hope. Unlike the other one, this one now told me, this just do the early interventions, do this, do that. For speech, take them to school, they will talk. Just don't expect what you'd expect from. And I feel, so for me, anyway, that space has been, I thank God for my parents. My sisters will always come and pick. My mother-in-law will come and spend time. And I have this, well, usually this is a new experience in my family. So they don't know what to tell me, or whether, sometimes they will tell me things and I want to strangle them. But it's coming from a good place. Sometimes it feels very innocent. It hurts, but sometimes I'll just tell them, this is not how. And they will learn, so the next time there'll not be a repeat.
And sorry to jump in, because I don't want to lose that point that you say. You said it about your family. They are still alive. They don't get it. They don't, and that's very key, because I also went through that phase. At the first, my first year, and then even immediately after I got a child, my family was there, but wasn't there. I don't know if you get me, because I felt kind of lonely. Even my friends, in hindsight, nowadays I look back and I say, hey, where was Nani that time? Okay, where was I that time? How come I was at the waiting room alone? Where was, you find yourself alone, but now I understand. They also don't understand the condition. And then they don't even understand you. And then they don't even know what to tell you. You can imagine going to see someone who has gotten a special needs child, and you have never come across this condition. You don't know what to tell them. So you don't know if you go there and start telling them, hey, thank God you got a baby. Thank God so it's just funny. And sometimes all that does to us parents, it now strains our relationships with our families. Like with our extended families and with our friends, because they don't know what to do, they don't know what move to take, and we also are in a place where I don't have time to even start explaining or pulling you in, but I just want to feel like you're in my space. And it really strains the relationship a lot. Until today, many parents tell me, even in the setups we sit and do parent support, those relationships are so strained, because now they just kept going south and south and south, and no one bothers, because they don't have capacity to do anything about it. But I remember we were going into that discussion about marriage, And for my, just a sneak peek about my journey, is that I told you that in hindsight, I realized that we take different journeys of healing.
Yeah.
But when you're in the thick of that thing, you have no clue, you know? When I was in the thick of it at the beginning, I was like, how can this thing happen to our child? And then she's not in the picture. Like, she doesn't understand it's our child, you know? Like, why is she not being there for her, you know? So at that point, I had no capacity to know, you know, or to unpack what is going on.
Yeah.
So it really strained our relationship. I was like, and then you get friends and family who are like, hey, anyway, they're just making it worse, you know? She's not there. And no one, actually, they have no capacity to understand it. And that really strained our relationship, you know? Because on one end, I'm feeling mommy doesn't want the child. So I also don't want mommy anymore.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like I have the best justified excuse to walk away because, again, I can't see life
Yeah.
being like this like forever, you know.
If you don't love my child,
yeah,
then
you don't
there's...
love my child now. I mean, we can't do this, you know. And I didn't understand it. But now, just to even just be more practical, in some of the sittings we sit with these men, and they are really interesting. Just sitting with men who never open up, and then you sit in there.
Yeah.
The things they say, because like the thing that jumped out of those meetings when you talk about marriage, is that already in a normal setup, in a typical marriage, no special child, nothing, who never has, I mean, there's always drama. You know, there's always things, there's challenges. I mean, there are fights. So already in a normal setup, in a typical marriage, it's not downhill. We all know there are two individuals, they've come, so we'll step on each other's toes.
Yeah.
So there are already fights.
Yeah.
Now imagine now what is thrown, now the thing that is thrown inside there is a special
Don't
child.
even understand it.
You don't even understand it.
Yeah.
And then now I'm also now coming in there with also my own biases
Yeah.
and my own assumptions because she's on her own journey and I'm on my own journey. So it compounds that whole thing and makes the marriage so bad because already you haven't even sorted out what is already was there before the child came.
Yeah.
Then the child comes and this situation has now been compounded. So it just goes south very fast.
Yeah.
And like I told you, this thing I told you, I realized in those settings that the women are more empowered than the men.
Yeah.
Because when I started talking to these men about their children, they don't know anything about them. They do not even know the condition of the child.
Yeah.
You know, they have no clue. But how will they know? They never visit the clinic. They never go for doctor's visits. They never talk to the wife because the nini is so charged at home. There's no communication.
The elephant is too big.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And then when the mom comes, she's been empowered. She's come home. Oh, you know, we were told by the nutritionist this last time we went, we need to change the diet. So it needs like a small budget. We need to do this. The man doesn't understand. And he will not do anything he doesn't understand.
Yeah.
And he's always fighting. So you know what? Any empowerment, remember I told you, anything the government is throwing, everything the NGOs are throwing, anything the medics are throwing, gatekeeper determines if it gets to the child.
To the child, yes.
So even when we talk about the gatekeepers, the parents, there is now in the African setup the real gatekeeper who happens in 90% to be the man. So however empowered even the mother is,
Yes,
are you
that's
seeing where this
true.
conversation is going?
Oh, yes.
And why the man needs to be roped in.
Yeah.
So
true.
she goes for empowerments and everything, but it never reaches the child.
Never gets
because
to
the man
her.
is just seated there. When she gets home, nothing. We're not doing that thing you're saying.
Yeah.
No.
And if he
Because it
says
doesn't-
no,
it-
it's a
yeah,
no.
It doesn't.
That's true.
And that compounds things. And real statistics say that only like less than 10% of marriages really make it through in this space of children with special needs.
Oh, that's a very low.
That is very sad.
It
And
is.
our church, again, is the biggest culprit. It doesn't help.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I have had pastors in our setups who've walked away. You know? So if pastor is walking away, who am I not to walk away?
That's
Surely.
true.
Yeah, so it's hard. It's been hard, but now, like I told you, in hindsight, when I look back at these things, I thank God that I didn't walk away.
Yeah.
That even when I didn't understand her,
Yeah.
I had the patience to still just remain. But it was so toxic.
Yeah.
But now, thank God, I opened up and went for support of parent support groups, and I began to understand, you know.
Yeah.
And when I started healing, and I started getting well mentally, this mental wellness is a huge thing when it comes to our space. Yeah,
Yeah.
really big.
It
So when
is.
I understood it, and when one person understands, by the way, in the setup at home for children with special needs, if one parent just gets it,
Yeah.
that's all it just needs. Because if
Yeah.
you get it, then you understand where the other person is.
That's true.
And then you can be able to just steer your way through.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, like you've said, you've kept saying this thing of gatekeeping,
Yeah.
and I keep telling parents everywhere I meet that the role of a parent, any child,
Yeah.
to any child, is not just providing food and clothing.
Mm-mm.
The child really needs to know the vision they have for their child. Where do you want this child to go? So that you
Yeah.
will not keep throwing them to any class. If there's a karate class your child is in, if there's a this class, things that will not even be in the vision
Yeah.
that you finally have for your child. So you, as Tumaini's parent, you've worked with her, and have seen you holding every Down syndrome day. Actually, we do the socks thing in the house. Even when I'm not living, we have to wear the sock and post a photo.
Yeah.
So what vision do you have for this child? What plans are you putting up to say that come 30, come 40, come this and this, Tumaini needs to get here?
Yeah.
Or even if we're not there, we will. Even if you throw, you know how they say, just throw it, it will land somewhere near.
Yes.
What vision do you have for her? And also looking at what is being provided versus what you, the father, can do to get there.
Yeah. That's pertinent. That's a very key thing. Having looked, and just from our conversation, you can see how these children change us.
Yeah.
And a few very fundamental things changed. I didn't have a choice. It was either change or change.
Yeah.
You know, because immediately she came from very very early on, I knew I had to be a protector.
Yeah.
What does that mean? It's not just protect her from stigma and other children. Protect her future too. You know, and what does that translate to? It translates to finances, things like finances. You know.
Yeah.
I had to really change and prioritize. My priorities changed overnight. No one sits you down to tell you what is important when you find yourself here.
Yeah.
You just align things and things change. So financially also you have to just start. Like now let me just talk about me. Like because I've been in the business field, I'm not employed.
Yeah.
So any place I put money, after I had Tumaini, automatically was biased towards securing her future. You know, what does that mean? What am I saying? Like, even taking risks, you change those things because now you can't just play anywhere. You feel me?
Life,
Yeah. You'd rather just even make a little bit, but secure it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
because you know where you're going. So all these things change, and because for Tumaini, where I see her going,
Yeah.
and I'm sorry, I have to say this, I feel played by the whole society by just by being here in this country called Kenya.
Yeah.
I appreciate that the government is cognizant of special needs persons. And I mean, we are there in the 2010 Constitution. We have acts that are protecting us. We are there in our bill, in the Bill of Rights. We are inside. But when it comes to actually enacting these things and actually translating them, I mean, even in this conversation, government has no place. You see, even when I'm answering you in securing her, the government, there's nowhere it fits in to help this child. Like if I actually look at it, there's nowhere the government is helping. No. Like it can't translate to anything. Even the fund that has been set apart for these children, it's nothing. It's negligible. You know.
Of course, someone is misusing it.
Yeah, it's misusing. And in fact, apart from being negligible, we're not even getting.
Yeah.
You know. So in terms of support, there's nothing. We can't get anything. You know. So I have to take initiative and just structure a plan. And then, like I started by saying, I feel played.
Yeah.
Because Tumaini is 15 years. A lot of resources, a lot of everything is being thrown to early childhood ECD, early childhood development, early years of the child, you know. But then you come and the child starts getting into their preteens and into teenage years, then there's virtually nothing.
They are forgotten.
And now I'm finding myself with Tumaini, she's 15, and it's like we're just walking on a path and then everything has disappeared, we're just in the air.
There's nothing for
There's
her,
nothing.
actually.
Like, for real, there's nothing. Like, she can't go to the university, she can't go to colleges, you can't go, what's she going to do? You know, she
That's
still has
true.
dreams and things to do.
She does.
So I'm left on my own to try and now figure it out. Because I know for Tumaini, I know her, like you told me. I know she has a passion in, she likes beauty, she likes swimming, she likes theater and dancing. You know, I can tell you. She likes those things. But you see, she's just been left in thin air.
Yeah.
Now I've just been left like, okay, you know she needs those things, but there's nowhere to plug in. There's no support whatsoever.
Yeah.
So now I just need to figure out how am I going to package those things together so that she can realize this potential I was talking about.
Yeah,
You know,
true.
and that's very sad, because even the ones who are growing up, even Kina and Marie, as they grow up, and
Yeah.
as they get to that place, I am praying that they won't be like Tumaini and come and find an empty space.
Yeah, true.
That some of us will have gone ahead, maybe made enough noise, and also taken the steps to do whatever we can to put something together. So I want to see Tumaini realizing her dreams as far as they can go. And this is not a pipe dream, like you said, like sometimes they just tell you, you just keep on dreaming.
Yeah.
Down Lenana Road, there's a mother there with a child with special needs. She's opened a coffee shop, you know. And because she came and found this empty space, there was nothing to do. And luckily she had the resources to put that together, you know. So her child is taken care of. So you train her in hospitality, she does training, you can train her in even running a business. You see, so she's very lucky.
Yes.
Those are the things we need when these kids are growing up. And then
Yes,
you feel
true.
like you've taken care of them because they have a safe place there actually, and they have a skill, and they're making their own money, and they're safe, you know. And even if you're not there, the system just needs to work. And you see, for a mom like that, I mean, I applaud her, because she's also taken up in other children too, in special needs, you know. But again, how many can really do that? You know, those are the things that are missing. And in the job market, I'm sorry to say this, but they're not even willing to open their doors to us. You know, all I need is a place where Tumaini can go in because she likes beauty. Can you open up your doors and just say, okay, we'll just start trainings. We can give you a space, a slot like 2 hours. You know, like those are the things we need to sort out. So that's the dream I have for Tumaini. I would like for her to be in a setting where she actually is independent. She can actually run her own things. But again, a painful truth that always keeps on happening. It's like the target keeps changing in this path, you know? Because now, Tumaini is 15. If I look at her academics, if I look at the curricula that is being run by the government, sorry to say, but Tumaini is like in grade. She's stuck in grade 2. And she is 15 years old. So for parents, it's also very key to know your child. And to accept your child.
Sure.
Okay? I have accepted she's 15 and she's stuck at grade 2.
Yeah.
What should that do? What does accepting translate to? It translates to shifting my target.
Yeah.
Not now starting to feel bad about it. Shifting my target and realizing, you know what? I can't have any more years trying to get her arithmetics and science and biology for what? She's 15. So when she's 30 is when she'll maybe do another 1 grade. No, now I just need to pick up a skill set and say she likes beauty.
Yes.
Try and put up that package with everything she has. What does she need to do that? She needs just to know how to read and not read novels. She just needs to do simple math.
Yeah.
She needs to just know how to read science. You get? She needs to know how to communicate. And those are just the things that we need to accept.
Yeah.
So that's the vision I have for her. But above everything else, my biggest vision is that I just want her, because I'm a God-fearing man. I'm born again.
Yes.
And the biggest thing that I want to leave behind is for Tumaini to know God. So that's my biggest thing. I want her to know, to reach a place where she can cognitively know God. You know?
Yeah.
And that will give me the best fulfillment in my life.
Wow. At least you've you've hit on the biggest vision, and I thank God that knowing God doesn't need education, it doesn't need a sober mind. You just need the Holy Spirit works
Yes.
through everyone. And I think now this channel, what this channel is about, it's called Beauty for Ashes. When you've been through this journey of ashes,
Yes.
you've been in ashes, you've sprawled there, you've done everything. Do you feel you're now in your crown, like you've been given your crown? Do you look back and say, thank God, I know I'm in Holland, I know the food is different from what, I know the dream is different. It's still a dream. I know it's different, but is there a point where you thank God and you're like, in me, you've what is it called, distilled me to a better version of myself? Probably if this 15 years of my life did not happen, I would be, my compass would be, maybe I'd have more money, I'd have more what, but then my relationship with God would be just off.
Yeah. This is one thing I really wrestled with, I must confess.
Yeah.
And for a big chunk of my journey, I'd been wrestling with it, and I've been trying to understand and to see where is God in all this. Because for most parents, there's no God. And for half of us, we just walk away because you don't see God in the midst of what you're walking through. But just in a nutshell, just to, as we sum up, this is what I've come to see, these three things. Number one, parents, when I talk to them, they always feel like God is punishing them, and this must be a punishment.
So true.
This is not my opinion. This is this is God's opinion through the Bible. So he says in John, in the story of the blind man who was healed, and the Pharisees, they kept on testing him, and they wanted to come and just try him and ask him, hey, so tell us, so is this man who sinned? What's up with this guy being blind? And Jesus, I like, because imagine, this is just crazy. He touches on every touchy topic in society. Like not just for back in the day, like even to today.
Yes.
He talked about tax, he talked about prostitution, he talked about, all the things are just are key things. About money, even about special needs, which is a key thing. And we're always juggling it. And guess what he said, And he said, no, you know what? This man, neither his parents nor himself has not sinned. And this thing is not because of punishment.
Yes.
It is for the glory of God. And guess what? Everything else in life is for the glory of God.
Yes.
That's not a rocket science thing to think about. So that just killed it for me.
Yeah.
It's not about punishment. It does away with all the myths and misconceptions and wrong beliefs that we have in this space. That's already killed it for me.
Yeah.
Number two, and most important, is I feel we're usually sold a wrong gospel when we get into this faith. This is gospel of now that you've aligned your life with God, everything is super nice.
Yeah.
Everything is just going to be aligned. This is just sunshine.
Yeah.
You're in Italy, everything is good, and that's what it's sold to us. So we get saved so that we can have a good life.
Yeah.
But no, that's wrong.
Even
in fact,
tougher
it says, I think in John or Matthew, it says that it rains on both the just and the unjust.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that just means that even the just, it still rains.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to tell us, what, there's trouble in this world. It's going to rain on both of you guys. Not because you did anything, but it's still going to rain. And remember, it's a fallen world, So things are fallen, so people get sick, people lack money. These things, everything is fallen. So, and we all go through it. And that's why one of my favorite verses when it comes when talking about matters, special needs parents, is Psalms 23, that though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will not fear. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You're walking through it, The rain rains on everyone, but he's there, he'll protect you and he'll walk with us. So that killed it for me. So it has nothing to do with anything wrong I did. God is not against me. There's a very hard theological thing that goes on when I sit with people and they're always asking, so did God have me in mind way before he made me that he's going to give me a special needs child? And that's crazy, because then what does that make God? Does that make him, does it sound like a just God? And for me, what makes sense for me today, maybe tomorrow I'll learn a new thing, is that no, it's a fallen world. Things, you catch a cold here, someone gets cancer there, whether they're born again or not.
True.
I mean, a gene will go here, like we did with me, and genetics, and there was a genetic disorder, and I got to my knee, and it has nothing to do with the other. So for me, I find peace, and I think the biggest mistake is guys being told that there will be no trouble, everything is sunshine. So I made peace with it, but I understand that it's a journey before most of us get there. Yes.
Wow. As we wind up, I'd like you to address a man, a woman who this news has been thrown to their table today, that actually your child will be neurodivergent. This is what, it's CP, it's autism, it's Down syndrome. They're beginning their journey today, and they're in their ashes, they're in their darkness. What will you briefly, as we wind up, tell them to, and what is there for them to maybe find help, the support groups, and what have you?
Yeah, good. Right at the top of my fingertips. One, you're not alone. You got this child. Statistics, this is not even guesswork, or my opinion. 10% of the world population are persons with disabilities. What is that number? That's a big number. So you're not alone, number one. Okay. Number two, self-care is key. We have been saying that please grieve. Take your time to grieve. Take your time to do that. But you need to accept, because someone more important is waiting for you to get sober, so that then their lives can begin. So you need to actually link up to support groups. Find whatever support groups for parents with special needs are there. Reach out. Step out of your cocoons, men. Step out of those cocoons. Come, let us talk. Meet a fellow man. Talk to them. That's the only way you're going to get through this thing. And finally, God is there with you. There's nothing wrong you have done. It has nothing to do with you. It just happens to everyone. It rains on everyone. So God is working with you. Do not give up. But realize that self-care is key. Self-care is spiritual care. It's your finance. It's your health. Physically, you need to live a long life because you have a child with special needs. You cannot afford to just sit down. So you need to take yourself holistically. It's your mental health. It's everything. And lastly, you need to gain capacity and know what condition that your child has. Because again, what you do not know, you'll fear it. That's where fear comes from, because you do not understand something. So understand it, and you will, instead of having fear, then you'll have a roadmap, okay, on how to enjoy Holland. Thank you.
Oh, wow. I love what you've said, because it goes with our verse for today. So the verse we heard is from Psalms 137, and it says that by the rivers of Babylon we sat mourning and weeping when we remembered Zion. On the poplars of that land we hung up our harps. There our captors asked us for the words of a song, our tormentors for a joyful song. Sing for us a song of Zion, but how could we sing a song of the Lord in a foreign land?
Wow.
So you can hear how it relates. So these people, and I like, let's just go with the analogy you used, where you said you are going to Italy, you found yourself in Holland. These people, they are in Babylon, and their minds, it's only the body that is in Babylon, but their mind is in Zion, and they are remembering the good things of Zion, but they are weeping and they are mourning, and that is the end of what they're doing. And in the Israelites, what they used to do is that a harp was sung in a new season, in a victory season, but now they've hung it. They are no longer playing it. So it's to say they've given up on every hope. So, and these tormentors, they're saying, sing the songs that you speak the Italy language, speak those songs that you would, but how will you when you're sprawling in this dust? How will you when you're really in this suffering? So I'm calling on every parent, not just the special child, not just anyone who is in their Babylon, who feels they're in captivity right now, and just thinking about Zion. And I think the topic for today is, don't just sit and weep, don't just cry. There's a lot of things you can do. Just let them pick their harp out again, let them start playing. Take your child to therapy, join social groups for your own good. Like Mr. Mbau said, do exercise and pray. Parents need to pray for their children. It's the biggest gift you can actually give to your child and to yourself as well. You need to stay prayed up. This world is so, I don't know what to call it. Without God, and parents, don't just stay, don't just pray. Even God himself says prayer without works is dead. Faith without works. You need to get out. Take your children for these therapies that we've said. Take care of yourself as well. Your kids need you seen. You cannot be pouring from an empty cup. Once in a while, ask for help. Travel, go to places. Don't end your life because this has happened to you. Don't stay there mourning or weeping. And as these people are saying, sing us the joyful songs. This is, if you're there crying, it's not the time to sing the enemy songs of joy. It's your time to go into work. Those can't be the songs you're singing when you're in your Babylon.
No.
In Babylon, you sing songs of warfare. You sing songs to bring you up, you and your child. And for sure, whatever situation you're going through, if you put work into it and prayer, you're going to for sure go back to your Zion. Your Zion might not be what you envisioned. It might actually be better. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning into this channel. We loved the discussion, Mr. Mbau. It was such an enriching conversation, and we hope to have you back many times to still speak on the same, and even more on faith. So we are so happy that you could join us, and thank you so much for honoring us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And of course, I'm also giving special thanks to our videographers, Son of Mary Productions. And you can always look out for them for wedding photography, whatever photography you might be interested in and video work, they will be there and in time for you. So until next time, guys, thank you. Bye-bye.